It's Wednesday, August 20th, and Hurricane Erin has transformed into a giant hurricane. This storm roughly is about 650 miles in diameter, with those tropical storm force winds spanning only a fraction of that, really only spanning about 300 miles in diameter. But we can start to see some of those bands are going to start impacting coastal North Carolina pretty much any hour now. And then when this happens, we're going to start to see those tropical storm force wind gusts and also potentially some storm surge in those giant waves, possibly even being up to 15 feet crashing into the coast as well. Now, a couple of things have happened with Erin since we last spoke. It has redeveloped an eye and is undergoing current intensification and is expected to re-intensify into a Category 3 hurricane. Now, this does mean a couple of things. When storms intensify like this, they start to wobble quite a bit. So this could mean possibly some more stuff over here for North Carolina, or possibly some less impact. So just something to stay weather aware of and stay pretty vigilant. If you're in coastal North Carolina right now, just watch for that. And then also, a strengthening storm will normally have a bit more of a heavier impact than a weakening storm, although it's really all expected to stay in that tropical storm force impacts range. But of course, the main thing for Hurricane Erin and its impacts felt along North Carolina's coast is, of course, going to be that peak storm surge, definitely peaking around the Hatteras region, potentially even all the way being up to 4 feet. I wouldn't be surprised to see it maybe a foot higher than this, because Hurricane Erin is so huge, and with these huge storms, we really do see some large storm surge. But this is what's expected, 2 to 4 feet. And then this would peak when high tide is. High tide is going to be 6 p.m. today, August 20th, and 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, August 21st. So that is really going to be when this peaks. And of course, stretching all the way from Sandy Hook, New Jersey, all the way down to South Santee River, South Carolina, there is that potential for 1 to 3 foot storm surge. So just something to stay weather aware of if you are on the immediate coast right there. Then, of course, accompanying this storm surge are going to be some massive waves, which could possibly damage some coastal property. Those would be in that 15 to potentially even 20 foot range. So definitely something to stay weather aware of if you are on the immediate coast. And then the second biggest thing is going to be the tropical storm force winds, which are expected to arrive to the North Carolina coast as early as the afternoon today, August 20th, and will pretty much completely engulf that area by evening tonight. And this would be for some pretty weak tropical storm force gusts, although tropical storm force gusts are not inherently weak in nature. So expect some 50-mile-an-hour gusts and sustained winds of around 40 miles an hour today. And the good news with tropical storm force winds is that we don't normally see a bunch of property damage from them. Possibly some loose things can get blown away. And then, of course, there can be some power outages. But the main worry is going to be the surge and not the winds. And because of North Carolina's relation to Erin, it looks like we're going to get spared from pretty much almost all of the rainfall that we normally see with these big hurricanes. So that threat of inland flooding is going to be pretty low, actually. So that's actually good news regarding Erin. And it's pretty much just going to be mostly the immediate coastal areas receiving those tropical storm force impacts. Later this afternoon and into this evening, there is still going to be that very large risk for some life-threatening rip currents pretty much all the way up the Atlantic coast towards Cape Cod. And the main thing that is allowing Hurricane Erin to re-intensify and really start to look organized again is this big plume of some 85-degree ocean temperatures. And this is actually pretty much the hottest region of ocean that Erin has traveled through to date. So that is definitely the culprit for what's going on and why we are expected to see a major hurricane reform. But it's also important to remind everybody that those major hurricane impacts are going to be pretty far off the coast, and it's just going to be tropical storm force impacts on the coast. So reminder to just stay weather aware as Hurricane Erin passes by.